Welcome, welcome, one and all, ladies and gentlemen. How are we? How are we doing? How are you all? It's nice to see a little bit of fire already in the chat. My buddy Zodiac is a great example of this. Very eager. There's some spins, some positives. Honestly, I'm really eager to discuss this show because wow. There is a lot. And I really like this promo. His record in steel cage matches will help him, but it's the result end of the day that's going to make the difference, and I have my suspicions if I say it in that way. It does work quite well. Good to see you, mate. Sorry to hear you're not having a good day. My day was significantly decent, I suppose. If he doesn't like AEW, he doesn't like AEW. Although, I want him to open his mind a little bit. I mean, I have some interesting statistics, which are really interesting. Depending on how you see things, matter. In the background, I'll have the football on, so I will now and again gloss. I was giddy for like a little child when Joe said steel cage. It's because Joe's got one of the best steel cage matches of all time with Kurt Angle. How can you not be excited by the possibility of Joe back in the cage? Oh, so you got shafted then. Unlucky. That's football though. Alright, Billy. What's happening? I'm not really. I'm not going to be mentally affected. Bill Bauer, the only team in the tournament that can actually stop United from getting to the final. Yet Bill Bauer, the only team that can beat Man United in the entire Europa League. So if Man United lose to Bilbao, I won't be surprised. Like, if anyone there tries to say, oh, would you be surprised? I won't be. Spurs will not. Frankly, even if Man United make the final, Spurs won't win it. Like, I'm telling you for a fact, they won't. They don't know what to do. Recently? No. Not for a long time. I can't remember the last blackout here. I physically can't remember the last blackout. For one, that's bullshit. Don't start this nonsense, you political cunt. Yeah, I did see it. I did see it. I mean, I'm not surprised, really. It's a shit show over there. Like, genuine shit show. Hello, Roy Sheen, how are you? That won't happen. No, I told you he was gonna win. I told you the Hangman was gonna go to the final. Even if he doesn't win, I said he would be in the final, so I'm not surprised at all. It was the right decision. If you put Fletcher in the final's worth shit. I'm not even kidding, by the way. He's not going to. No, there's no shame in him not going to All In, by the way. No surprise. Whichever way takes your mind off it, that'll do. That's the best thing. Whatever takes your mind off it, take your mind off. Go in that way. Not yet. Not yet. He's not going to. He won't. The winner of the Owen Hart tournament is not going to win the world title. Like, I've got a honest feeling about that. Like, I'm serious. The winner of the Owen Hart tournament is not winning the world championship. I don't think it'll be Darby. I don't think it's Darby. Can't rely on him. You guys know what to do. If you keep spamming, you know what to do. Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania next year. Trust me, it's not going to happen. I already said I would never book him to be world champion. Not because he's a bad champion, it's just that I wouldn't book him as it. I don't actually think there's a reason to make him world champion. Period. I think he's stronger in different title scenes that he can improve. I don't think he would make sense as a world champion. You're dafty. But reality kicks in, of course, but that's just the way it goes. There are some matches on this show, by the way, and this is a true reflection. Yeah, it's reasonable take, Zodiac. There's matches on this card that should never have happened in the first place. I thought it was a good show. I still have to critique a few things that shouldn't have happened. But apart from that, yeah, it's not so bad. Mural, if you're gonna watch, please stop spamming the chat, please. It's gonna be crap with him involved. Stupid casting. MJF is actually a major talking point tonight. Because he's actually a problem. Oh, and if he does show up to the chat tonight, I like to hear the words "I was correct, Guy was wrong" about MJF versus Jeff Jarrett. Because of course I was correct. Wardlow needs to be released. Wardlow's done. As for MJF, he's got some important lessons to learn. And I'm not kidding. Last night, if you remember last night's show, I got asked who would I trade to AEW, to WWE, and vice versa. Notice how MJF was the first name that I said. Because I am going to say this and I stand by it. AEW would be better off without MJF. I actually think they need to let him go. No, he's not Billy. He's not relevant. And it says a lot that he got mugged by Jeff Jarrett on his own podcast. If you haven't listened to it, guys, I recommend listening to what he said. Because it's exactly what I said. Nah, honestly, bad idea, Fletch. MJF needs to go. It says a lot that he was told during that Jeff Jarrett feud this should not be happening for how he's going about it. That he's toxic. And it's so true. He is a problem. Unless he improves himself as an individual, he must go. Now people are going to go, oh, but he's a pillar of AEW. He's an original. I don't care. I really don't care. When someone who has got the career and the legacy in the business like Jeff Jarrett telling you he is toxic, then he has to go. Let me put it to you this way. See all the stuff that he said about Karen Jarrett? See all the stuff that he said about Jarrett's career? That he shouldn't be going after a championship in his last year? MJF got little dick syndrome. He got so bloody offended that Jeff Jarrett wants to win one bit of gold in his last year that he went for all the gutter comments. Jeff Jarrett ended up agreeing to this stuff. He listened to the wrong folk. What he said in his promo on Collision and last week's Dynamite concurs with what he said on his My World podcast 2 days ago. I'm not joking. He did not want this. But see, when I told you he should have been... But when people were saying, oh, he should have been feuding with MJF. No. Because what does it do for him? Like, there's an honest reality in check. And he is a major problem. He can be all the talent in the world. And I've said it before, the best talents are dickheads. But when you're that toxic to somebody who's been in the business for well over 30 years, someone who's owned a company, somebody who's worked closely with his own dad, who ran a company, did booking in the 80s for the best territory, who are you going to listen to more? When it comes to pro wrestling, who are you going to listen to more? Jeff Jarrett or MJF? Don't worry, both sides just bench people. They sign, they bench, they moan. Tribalism. Triple H is that much of a moron, they wanted Rusev back. I don't know why he's still in the business, to be honest. And Andrade was re-signed to go to catering. Like, he's a waste. Aleister Black is an interesting conversation. It's mannerable. It's an interesting one. His comments are understandable. Penta is going to be, if they stick him in the LWO verse, which is annoyingly going to happen, I'm going to be disappointed. Yeah. Chad Gable doing this gimmick is absolute clownish. I actually feel for Chad Gable. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't even do him any favours. To be fair, no one likes Rusev, so it doesn't matter. No one likes Rusev. Rusev is one of those in the business that should have been packed up years ago. Okay. Let's get into this show. So, less said the better. Less said the better. Let's go through this show and we'll actually show where it is good and where it is plain dead stupid. Because there are some things on the show last night that were stupid. A good show will always have something stupid, but there's a few things. So, let's discuss the opening match. The opening match is 25 minutes long. At least that's understandable because it's a big tag match. It's not something small. So 25 minutes makes sense. For a TV match, though, for a tag of any level, rare. But what lets this match down was the elbow drop spot. You've got good interchangeable wrestling, good chain wrestling. The heel antics actually pays off here. The babyfaces get to show some strength in their teamwork. Obviously, they're pegged back quite a few times. The pace of the match is actually quite good too. But what lets the match down was every single one of them trying to do an elbow drop and then missing. Like, that's, for me, clownish. I don't particularly like that. It doesn't actually add to the match. It doesn't make it exciting. It actually makes all the talent involved, just for that split moment, look like morons. I honestly found that elbow drop spot offensive. And if any other company done it, I would be saying the exact same thing. I would be like, this is fucking stupid. Why are you doing an elbow drop spot? What does that get you? And I'll tell you another spot that I found was stupid. The repetition of the arm wringer. That was really bloody stupid. You've got two spots in the entire match that actually do nothing but make you want to get annoyed. And I can't be excited by that. I'm sorry, but I can't. If you liked it, you liked it. But me, I found it stupid. Now, there is a moment as well. Ricochet with his bald head is sitting down, getting his head kicked in by Speedball Mike Bailey and Kevin Knight. Unfortunately, there's an awkward moment where they both go for sit-down drop kicks, but Speedball is too fast for Mr. Knight. And unfortunately, if you look at the drop kick, from Kevin Knight, it's actually a botch. He doesn't get the right spot, he doesn't get the moment. It's really poor. So there's 3 criticisms from this 25-minute match. The arm wringer, the elbow drop clown spot, and the awkward botch. See, apart from that, the match is great. The way the match starts, love it. Omega, Ospreay, the face-to-face, gives me chills. Because that match is happening at All In, one-on-one. That was a good moment. But I do think they have elements, and they're fun with the crowd. Like, the crowd are enjoying the match. Let's be real, the crowd enjoyed the match. And no surprise that Collision is actually improving its ratings. Now, if you want to talk about ratings discourse for 2 seconds, okay, I want to say Collision is improving theirs. So they're doing something right, which is a good thing. Other companies are improving their ratings right now too, by the way, in the smartest way. So they're listening and they're changing up. But they have to criticize shit that don't make sense. So I will still criticize the 3 points that I've made. Yeah, Matt Jackson with the arm spot, delusional. In terms of who's going to dethrone Mox, whoever John Moxley decides to will dethrone him. There's a clue. But for 25 minutes, really good. I think what's important about this match as well, and this is something people need to learn, when I said Kenny Omega is going to be world champion as a heel, it's because of what he did in this match. Look at the amount of bumps and look at the amount of involvement Kenny Omega had in this 8-man tag. Collision was 707,000. Collision did 707,000. Collision did better than Dynamite. Considering what they normally get, it's actually an increase. Like, it's normally, what, 550? Something like that. So they've actually done better. I've seen some collisions that are like 100 and 300, 450. To get up to 700, that's not bad. Will it continue to climb though is the important question. That's what Dynamite needs to do. They need to do that. It's also what other companies need to do, is just find their sweet spot and aim for it. To be fair, when I look at the ratings discourse, I look at where they can recover it, rather than, oh, it's just down, so it's terrible. I've said it before, you can have a good show but not have great ratings, and that's just because no one watched. But you could still have a great show, it's just unfortunate. So like, you've got to take that into account. It's what I say about these shows. Like, we could have, for example, there's 11 people watching right now. We could have 5 people watching, but it'll still be good to them if it's presented well. I could have 100 people, but the show could still be crap. Like, I take everything into account. People use ratings to slander. I use ratings when I can be bothered, to see where it's right and where it's wrong. Where it's right and where it's wrong. Not entirely true, because Collision was never over 1 million. In order for them to get double what they're doing, they would need to be at 1.2, 1.3 million. AEW's only hit 1 million once. So it's not entirely true, this. What they're getting right now is elements of balance. They're settled right in terms of what they're doing. It's between 620 and 850 is what you normally see. They should be aiming higher though. They should be. However they get to that is how they get to that. That's not for me to determine. I don't work in television. Unlikely. I've been up and down the fucking UK for the past couple of years, and it's expensive, it's extortionate, and it's exhausting. Same for WWE. I haven't been to any wrestling shows this year, and I'm happy not to be right now. After I pass my driving test, on the other hand, I'll be driving to events left, right and centre. People years ago said AEW won't be alive. Here we are almost in 5 years. Here we are almost 6 years after, and look at them. Honestly, when you think about it, people said the same thing about TNA. TNA's not dead. Now, there's some things with them that's wrong, but when you look at it, they're still here. People said the NWA were going to die. They're still here. So, that's the reality of it. Meltzer ruined ratings. Don't care. Listen, watch what you want to watch. Tired of WWE and AEW fans posting them every week. I hate it. I hate when people use this like ratings to target each other. If I'm gonna crap on a comment, or I'm gonna knock a company, I'm not knocking it for the ratings. I'm knocking it like if the feuds are crap, the matches suck, and the promos are boring. And how it comes to me is that's how I judge it on. And the creative overall. I don't care about ratings. People love to talk about ratings. I don't. Yeah. How do you think wrestling would look today if AEW never existed? There would only be 3 major companies to watch. It'd be WWE, New Japan, and TNA. But one of them you've got to watch early hours in the morning. The other really depends. It's mannerisms. WWE also would never have been anywhere where they are now in terms of being greedy with money. They would be flowing through. I don't know what else would have happened though. I really don't know. It has helped pro wrestling. I agree. Certain people have created tribalism again. No, like tribalism in the wrong way. Tribalism technically did exist for a long time. It did exist during the TNA era because WWE fans wanted TNA to go. They tried to get TNA shut down in the online forums with their bullshit takes. So there's always elements there. You gotta realize though, like, a Japanese crowd is different. I don't think Ring of Honor would be there. Not in a bad way, but remember the Bucks, Omega, Cody, they were New Japan guys competing alongside Ring of Honor with Ring of Honor. But Ring of Honor got way downhill because of Sinclair, the absolute weapon. Yeah, that's how I value it. That's how I value wrestling. It was an interesting way as well that this match also ended the way of going in favour of the heels, considering the babyface talent. But I actually think going with the heels was the right call. Like I praise the decision to go for a heel victory over the babyfaces in this match, because then you can't get the feud the right energy that it needs. It doesn't get there. Yeah, of course. Some crowds just react differently, and that's all you've got to base it on. So we get another Ops match next. Again, from an 8-man tag to a 6-man tag. Again, this was fun in its own way because it was actually more fun post match than the match itself. Because you get the post match attack angle, then you get, as we've mentioned, Joe's promo. He mentions he wants Moxley inside a steel cage. I'm eager to see what direction they go with. I don't think Joe's going to win. Although I wouldn't mind if they put him in the victory spot. But if this was just a regular... yeah. If they just made this a standard title match, I actually think they would have failed. They have to make it fit both men in the right way, so I like they've went steel cage. It makes sense. Yeah, he was feeling the promo in the best way as well for him. In a way, yes. I don't think Hangman's going to win. I still think you're going to get Hangman Swerve as a tag team. But Will Ospreay should not be winning the world title. The thing is, if you want something to be a good alternative, then the one thing you don't want this is what a good alternative means. Technically, TNA is still an alternative. It doesn't have the AEW budget, but it's still technically an alternative. If you actually look. NXT is involved if you actually look at it. And again, I disagree with the partnership. The partnership's wank. And it has been for a long time. But they don't have any creative input. They're alongside them, which I disagree with, but they're not actually... The only way they become a WWE indie promotion is if they genuinely, seriously, change up everything about their style. And they haven't. Because Will Ospreay is not someone you should make world champion. He isn't somebody that actually makes sense. I don't think he would work. You can't buy into someone of that his weight as a world champion. Will Ospreay, on the other hand, he's already proven he doesn't work as a world champion. He's already proven it. Very popular, but can't hold on long. Do you know that their attendances are actually roughly the same? Trust me, they're not. Trust me, the WWE fanbase don't care about TNA. They never have done, and they won't. Like, they won't. TNA were already actually improving things behind the scenes before WWE got involved. The problem is, they're trying to force their way through other things on them. They are not even bothering with TNA. His New Japan World title run, when he was IWGP champion, it didn't work. And that was only a few years back. Generally, Will Ospreay is not someone I would make world champion. He'd be an excellent mid-card champion, because it actually fits him perfectly. As a world champion, nah. I think heel Omega would take it from someone else. AEW has increased to the same numbers that AEW are getting right now, though. The only thing that's stopping TNA is the pay-per-view increase. Like, that's a genuine thing, by the way. AEW still do better in terms of pay-per-views. That's something TNA are working on, and that's a positive. You've still got to be the main champion. AJ Styles done it, and he was a great IWGP champion. He couldn't. Yeah, I agree. No, I actually like his new theme song. It makes sense. Jay White, yeah, 100%. Do you think Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling could become a weekly show? I don't know. I actually think Scott D'Amore's going to do it like how TNA first done it, as just pay-per-view events. If they do it as TV, okay, but it's just Canada. I don't know if they've got enough venues to manage it unless they stick to certain venues. I don't know if that works. I like their last show though. I just don't like the fact they bring in Bubba Ray Dudley. Nah, Josh Alexander's gonna win that. Josh Alexander's winning that. He's on the card for the title match, so I mean it's literally on their own Twitter page. He'll win that title. You really think they're not gonna have you really think Scott D'Amore's not gonna have his favourite Canadian wrestler as world champ? Yeah, he's on the card. He's got the match with that moron first, and then he's got the Battle Royal. It's on their Twitter page. You really think Scott D'Amore's not going to have that as a title? Honestly. Speedball will be involved, but yeah. Speedball will be involved, but Alexander will win the damn thing. Speaking of stupid things, why do you need the Tony Storm kick getting kicked in the ass spot for a minute straight? She's a great wrestler, doesn't need to rely on that stuff and it happens. Yep. 100%. It's going to be an interesting year for that faction. Trust me. The Tony Storm match I'm actually coming to as well. And really, I'm not even kidding. The Yamashita match is good, but this spot was boring as fuck. This was insulting. Well, is it? Not yet. They haven't had the semi-final yet. If they rush to Tony Storm versus Mercedes Moné, this is why I say to people that it shouldn't happen at All In. Mercedes Moné should be the match at Full Gear. It makes more sense than All In. And I will stand by that. I'll argue anybody that says it should be Storm versus Moné at All In. It shouldn't be. Her promo actually makes sense. I don't know how you can rub it down. This is a kind of promo that WWE does really well. Like, here's a fact. What Mercedes did, her promo, is what WWE does well. So I think you should give her a bit more credit than this. I will say this though, if Toni Storm only defends her title once during this entire run, up to All In, I'll be very disappointed. We need a few title defenses from Toni Storm throughout because she needs to make sure the division's capable. Otherwise, it's not going to be good. Apart from the stupidity, the match is decent, so we can move on. And Mercedes Moné, the way that she completely dialed down on Jamie Hayter, completely ignored her, refused to make any interest of her. That's what a good heel does, by the way. Like, no, you gave her credit for running away, not the promo. Here's a fun fact. See if you look at her promo and you listen again. That's what nearly every major top champion has done as a heel for decades, and it always works. It always works. And I can name plenty of talent that done this, and I will give them huge credit for doing it because it benefited them a lot. Here's one. Triple H as a heel, when he would just mug off his opponents by just not talking about them, he would talk about just himself. Good heel work. Shawn Michaels did the same thing. Taker 99 as when he was WWE champion. When he was Undisputed Champion 2002, did the same thing. Hollywood Hogan did it all the time. Kurt Angle did it all the time. AJ Styles in his second NWA world title reign done it against Raven, done it against Dusty, done it against D'Lo Brown, talked them down like they meant nothing. Jeff Jarrett done it every world title reign he had. Ric Flair done it now and again. Like, it actually benefits when the world champion or just a regular champion goes, this person doesn't mean anything to me, they're not going to really do much, so I just want to talk about me. It's good shit. A lot of women's talent that have succeeded in the business have done this as well. It actually is a solid tactic, especially for a promo. So I think you should really... I think this is one of the few promos where I think you can honestly say, you know what, it actually is good, it makes sense. You don't have to say every promo, but I think you should for this one. Okay. Time to talk about Mr. Toxic again. Quintessentially, not all of them were great on the mic. They just knew when to deliver in the right way. Uncloud yourself. Let's talk Toxic in the Hurt Syndicate, because that's how I'm going to call them from now on. This entire program is so slow. Like, I'm sorry, but the most exciting part about this entire MJF and Hurt Syndicate feud, well, not feud, sorry, this entire segment involving them, is the Hurt Syndicate hurting people backstage. It's becoming redundant now. I like the faction. They don't need that weapon involved. MJF should not be anywhere near them. This faction is so much better without him. It's not essentially putting all the blame on him, but his promos in this story have not been delivering. Like, I think overall I've been impressed with Shelton Benjamin. I've been impressed with MVP. Lashley's hit and miss, sorry. MJF is he doesn't make sense for this faction, and he never will. If you don't believe in what you're doing, then you should be moving away. If you don't believe in this, then you should be saying this doesn't work. I have to try it a different way. I don't think he is. Probably. I would still let him go. Like, I would let him go. He hasn't been a great heel in a long time. He hasn't been a great heel in like 2 and a bit years. We got a Stokely Hathaway pre-tape promo talking about how FTR are going to win back the World Tag Team titles. Okay. Backstage, we get an interview with the Patriarchy. Again, Christian Cage and Kip Sabian are the only good members of this faction. Exactly. I was at that. It was still a good match though. Lethal challenges Nick Wayne for a title shot for the Ring of Honor television title. So, sigh. Christian agrees, gives him the title shot. Nick Wayne comes out to his own music before Christian decides fuck this and he comes out with his. Nick Wayne would win the match, and what to do? I've said it for a long time. I don't care about Nick Wayne. He's one of the few talents in AEW that I actually don't care about. He does nothing for me at all. There's nothing about him that interests me. Christian needs to kick his ass to the curb. And just stick to Kip Sabian and find someone else. Because this is not working. I honestly hate 2 parts of this faction. I hate Nick Wayne and I hate his mother. And I'm sick of Ring of Honor titles being on AEW. I've said it so many times before, I do not want to see Ring of Honor championships on AEW television. If Nick Wayne is going to be the Ring of Honor television champion, then stick to Ring of Honor, buddy. Go back to Thursday nights. No. Punk said it himself. Punk wanted to leave. He wanted to go. He didn't want to come back. At all. The Bucks didn't care either. Like, they're all bad as each other. The only person who's got no issue for me in this entire situation is Kenny Omega. Kenny Omega's the only one in this entire circumstance that makes sense. Couldn't manage a target. Yep. That is true. That is true. The only difference is Christian's actually outperformed most of these talents by a mile. He's incredibly underrated. I really like Christian. I've always liked Christian. Now, I will say this, and this is a positive for Nick Wayne, even though I don't particularly care about him. Him winning this match is good for him because it gives him, a chance to seriously stamp his title reign, in the sense of he's taking it seriously, and two, it gets him prepared for the Best of Super Juniors tournament. So I actually like what they did with him. He'll probably go and do well in Japan. He'll probably have good matches. I won't deny that. I don't think he has bad matches. I'm just not interested in him. I think he needs to do something different to make me interested. Otherwise, I'm never going to care. I'll never care if he doesn't do anything. Oh, and Man United have just scored. That'll do nicely. That'll do. I will take that. I need that goal. I really need that. Thank God. What's more cursed, Kane as ECW champion or Jericho as Ring of Honor champion? Honestly, both of them in the same manner is definitely both. I've always told you, you need patience. Bilbao are the only team that can generally stop us. Just saying. Okay. Moving on. Because we're at our 5 minutes, so good time frame. I actually like doing reviews in our just a bit. It's actually quite good. I am thinking, by the way, I am thinking I might cut one of the WWE show reviews and replace it with something else. So I'm thinking I might cut SmackDown. Like, I'm tempted to cut SmackDown. I know I heard back then that Punk said he had regrets of how he did things the first time. Quite frankly, they're all as bad as each other. It could have been so much better if they just did things differently. Billy, that goal's getting checked. Yeah, Unmasked Kane was horrible. Unmasked Kane was horrible. I know why they done it, but they kept him unmasked for far too long. I know. I know. And we call him Bum Kane. Yeah, that's one way to put it. I just call him awful. Kane as ECW champion should never have happened in the first place. Anyone that defends the ECW Kane title is an absolute moron. I'm not kidding. Like, I stand by it. If you defend the Kane ECW title run, you're an absolute moron. It's one of the worst title reigns they did. It should never have happened, by the way. Like, they really fucked up. Another way to disgrace ECW. Not even kidding. I know. No. No. The only thing Jericho can't curse is his hair. And his design, his attire designs. That's it. But Big Show and Kane are two of the worst ECW champions. Them and Ezekiel Jackson. Jericho is the second best Canadian wrestler ever. Is he? I like Chris Jericho, but I don't think he's the second. I don't think he's the second best Canadian wrestler. Lashley, Punk, and Christian were the only good champions in ECW Revival. I agree. Jericho, it's in storyline because he's away to do Fozzy. He's on his Fozzy tour. Maria, you're forgetting an obvious person. In fact, You're actually forgetting a few. Trish Stratus, Lance Storm, they're great. They're not better than Roddy Piper. They're not better than Kenny Omega. And also, Adam Copeland, Christian Cage. Lance Storm's not better than them. Lance Storm was great though. Like, he was really, really, really good. But Lance Storm better than Christian Cage? Better than Adam Copeland? No. Bret Hart is 100% the greatest Canadian wrestler of all time. I think you've named five. I think what you've named is 5 of the top 10 in different places. Obviously, if that's who you think are the top 5, then fair enough. I agree they're in the top 10, but some of them I wouldn't have in the top 3, 4. I think Jericho. I think Jericho is the 3rd greatest Canadian, personally. If I'm ranking Canadians, I have Jericho in 3rd. Even though he's an absolute weirdo at times with his over the top reinventions that some of them haven't worked, like the Learning Tree hasn't worked, Chris Jericho is still one of the absolute greatest ever. But it's his redemption. Sorry, it's not his redemption. It's his constant need to reinvent himself is what's going to bring him down. And I've said that for a long time. I actually think that hurts him. But in the process, RVD, his title run would have been better if he just kept this to himself. If he'd stopped doing this, he'd have been fine. But no, RVD just had to be a high flyer. Again, that Mick Foley segment was quality. I always like that Mick Foley segment when Kurt Angle gets drafted to ECW. And it's just the fact that Mick Foley is taking the mick out of all the ECW talent, and then he does that high flyer thing. Like, it's absolutely funny. And if you think about it, see when it comes to talent who went into ECW and then left to come to WWE from the Attitude Era onwards, if you're being really honest, there's only 5 wrestlers that you can consider a success. Not that went to another promotion and came to WWE. Went to ECW and then went to WWE. There were another promotion before ECW. And Mick Foley's number 1. Yeah, like, that roster had RVD, Kurt Angle, CM Punk, Just Incredible, Tommy Dreamer when his knees were able to move and he was not drinking tobacco juice and making people sick. You had Elijah Burke, who was alright at times, redacted until he went psycho. Like 2006-2008 roster specifically when it was actually interesting. Sabu, Sandman There's so much that was actually good. To be fair, you're not the only person that doesn't remember that Piper's Canadian. You're not the only one, so don't worry about that. What ECW did wrong was Kevin Thorne, Marcus Corvon, because again, he was excellent in TNA, but he didn't suit WWE. He didn't benefit at all. John Morrison, The Miz, they were not ECW guys. They didn't understand ECW. That flopped. Mark Henry didn't work. Matt Hardy, to an extent, he worked in TNA. He's at least an Extreme guy. I actually think Jeff Hardy would have made more sense in ECW than Raw or SmackDown. Despite his popularity, he actually would have worked in ECW. Matt Striker didn't work. Big Daddy V. I know you would because you're obsessed with the man, but I'm sorry. As good as he was, and he was great, I don't think he's better than Chris Jericho. Sabu, RVD, Raven, Shane Douglas, Taz, ECW, is top 5 ECW best. I'm going to go on a limb, and I'm going to say this. Raven, Taz, Shane Douglas are the top 3 ECW talents. They're the top 3. Rollins, Danielson, Omega, Moxley, ECW 2006. I don't know if they would under... To be fair, you look at technical wrestling plus the hardcore. They do blend well. Terry Funk was perfect in ECW. Terry Funk was amazing in ECW. Mick Foley was amazing in ECW. Stone Cold was amazing in ECW. Mikey Whipwreck was amazing in ECW. Now, the fucking Dudleys, on the other hand, were shite in ECW. Utter crap. Mike Awesome, awful. Scott Hall, that promotion screwed his head. I feel bad for him. Rick Rude, that was fun. Bret Hart for one night just to wrestle with Terry Funk as part of that 47-minute masterclass. I can also separate off from artists, but you don't separate. What about Sabu? He started putting guys through tails for anyone. In ECW, yes, but in other promotions, no. But Sabu for me is the... I actually think Mick Foley and Terry Funk have got a better contribution to ECW than RVD, even though RVD had the popularity. I think if you actually look at it, they were all great, but I think Sabu and Sandman are far more important to that promotion. But they all have their importance, and they're great. Anyway, let's quickly do this main event, and then you can ask some more questions before I get out of here. So, we got some promises, we got some fun, but we got Hangman beating Kyle Fletcher. This was a good contest. The moonsault, tombstone, pile driver always works. The laceration on his back, that was seriously tight. I actually think I actually think Hangman has better chemistry with Kyle Fletcher than Kyle Fletcher does with Will Ospreay. And I'm not trolling. If you actually look at both matches, and the steel cage match is fun, the tournament match is fun. I just really think Fletcher and Hangman have much better chemistry. I think it's harder to have good chemistry with a friend in the ring than somebody that you're not particularly friends with. Here's the thing, I can also give them credit, I just don't want to. I can easily give them credit, I'm just refusing to. I'm not having conversations about wankers like them. Yes, they're some of the greatest of all time, but if you have to bring them up, that's not separating art from artist. That's a different kind of obsession in the worst way. I don't talk about one of my favourite wrestlers from the past decade anymore because of who he is. Like, everything that he did great is erased from my mind. Yeah. Madness, but it's true. Everyone has an impact. That's why Steve Austin couldn't do it with Brian Pillman as opponents, but as tag partners it worked. Like, it's a fundamental truth. If you have your best if your best matches are with your friends, that's not your best matches. Those are your comfort matches. Your best matches are with somebody who you have a strong professional relationship with that isn't your friend. That's why Bret Hart's best WWE matches are Stone Cold, even though Stone Cold is a Bret Hart fan. He literally was a huge fan of Bret Hart, but they weren't friends. They respected each other, but they weren't friends. Like, there's manners to it. Like, Owen Hart's best matches were with Shawn Michaels after he stopped working with Bret. Because he never liked him, but they understood. Of course. Yes. See if you go back. See people that prefer Taker versus HBK at WrestleMania 25 and 26. Those matches are very, very, very good. But the matches between 97 and 98 are far better. For a big reason. Despite the moment in the casket match. Main event of this show was really good. I enjoyed it. It was fun. It was a good saviour after the pointless television title match. It was a good way to start things up. I quite like where they've done the show. There's some, like I've said, there's some things in this show that I really did not agree with, but they were able to further some of the stories of what they're showing. And it's nice to see where they go from here. I think the only thing they can do, though, and I say this every week, it's about maintaining consistency. That's the bigger thing. Cut out the stuff that makes no sense, that offers nothing. Stop featuring Ring of Honor on AEW television, and you'll be fine. I didn't dislike them. I thought they were fine. They weren't great. If anything, their work was overrated together. Yeah. You could arguably say it could be a little bit better than Will and Takeshita. I actually think there's an argument to say that Fletcher and Hangman is better. overall, it actually there's an argument for it. But fun times. That's what we've got. I'm thinking I'm gonna drop SmackDown reviews. Yeah, me too. Me too, bud. Yeah. I'm thinking I just drop one because then that means we can do other things instead. Here's the best thing. It's better just to leave them out. You can accept what people have done in terms of contribution and the business. But if you have to keep bringing them up, you're not remembering, you're forcing other people to remember when people don't want to. Like, for me particularly, I don't want to remember Redacted because I was a big fan of his. Just like Marty Scurll. I was a big fan of Marty Scurll until he did what he did. Now I don't want to talk about it. It would. Sadly, it doesn't, but that's the pain we've got to deal with. I would completely change up that world title picture in a heartbeat. I would. I easily could change that title picture myself. I wanted if they made me the booker. I would fix it. But they won't. But hey ho. In the meantime, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a fun show. I'm gonna dip off. I know he does, and he's a technical wrestling great, but nobody generally wants to talk about him, and yet he keeps getting brought up for no reason. It makes no sense. But hey ho, guys, I'll be back tomorrow. TNA review, and then Saturday might be the last. I don't. I have to, unfortunately, respond to it, but I don't. Unfortunately, when he's named and I have to shut it down, then I've got no choice. This might be the last SmackDown review on Saturday. If not, it'll be a fun show like what we did last night, but actually no, we'll just do a gaming stream. That's what we'll do. In the meantime, peace out, folks. See you tomorrow, and thanks for tuning in.